everyone, how are you? And when I say how are you today, I mean how are you as in really how are you? A lot of my followers, people, social media people who like, as in I'm not really, I look at it, but I'm not really like so fussed about followers and everything. But I kind of know my audience, and I know that a vast majority of my audience are people of Nigerian heritage. Even if you don't live in Nigeria, I don't live in Nigeria, but I'm of Nigerian heritage. And it's been a very difficult week. On Tuesday, we saw something that etched a very, very unforgettable mark on the hearts of a lot of people. And for me personally, it was very difficult. I don't think I slept for 2 hours on Tuesday. It was just something that I could not fathom happening, that I could see happening in front of me. And I had to address that in my video today because sometimes we want to say, let's move on and not talk about those things. But I think it's very important for us to talk about those things. I think it's very important for us to learn from the lessons of the past. I'm 30-something years old, and this conversation about the dreams and the visions we have for Nigeria has been going on since I was a child. I grew up in a very politically aware family. My dad did dabble into politics, and my grandfather did dabble into politics, and there's a lot of things that there were conversations that they were having when I was a child, when I was my daughter's age, and I can remember some of them. I was a child during the Hope 93 elections in Nigeria. I remember going with my dad to the campaign rallies and the hopes and the dreams that we all have. You know, the campaign for 1993 elections in Nigeria was Hope 1993, and that election was eventually annulled and cancelled. It's just been a very, very strange journey for us, and I think some of the lessons that we need to learn from this is not just to go back to normal. I think once, when they say cat has been let out of the bag, the cat has been let out of the bag. And for me, I think a lot of the things that we've learned this week is to begin to build onto the blocks of the future. And so that kind of leads me into my book review of the week. And today I'm reviewing, why am I saying where? I'm reviewing Simon Sinek's Leaders Eat Last: Why Some Teams Pull Together and Others Don't. So it's a very Simon Sinek. I'm sure a couple of people who of you've heard of his TED Talk. He's also written another book called Start With Why, one of my favorite books on change. But in this book, he's talking about leadership. He's talking about how for you to build high-performing teams, you need leadership. Leadership is one of the core things that you need to be able to build well-oiled organizations and well-oiled teams. But in this context today, I'm not just looking at it from the point of building organizations or business or in the corporate sense. I want to talk about leadership generally. And I'm going to read a portion of the book that talks about leadership, and then I'll give you my thoughts and why I think it's very important, especially for those of us who have a vision for Nigeria. And when people think of leadership, please don't think about leadership in the terms of how we think about leadership in Nigeria. We'll think about what leadership actually means, and not just leadership in the sense of authority, but leadership in the sense of responsibility, leadership in the sense of a servant leadership. I'm also a Christian, and I know that is the model of leadership that was preached in the Bible, and it's just really awkward that a lot of people in Nigeria are quite religious and they can't seem to understand that concept. Anyway, let me not digress. So as usual, I'll read a portion of the book and then I will discuss my thoughts in it. So I'm reading from Why We Have Leaders, and I'm reading from page 83. So I'm going to start from, I'll try to make it fast because there's a lot I want to read there, but I'll read certain portions of it and I'll discuss it. So there is one of the reasons a publicist may recommend to a celebrity client that they get involved in charitable work. In our modern world, that's the game. It is important to hold the appearance of maintaining the deeply seated social contract that our alphas are supposed to serve us. And though there are definite benefits to a celebrity using their bully pulpit to bring attention to a cause of plight, if they really cared, they wouldn't need to publicize every time they did something. Perhaps one of the sacrifices they could make is the spotlight. That is the same is true for politicians during election cycles. It is fun to watch the politicians who announce that if they're elected, they will do all these good things because they care about us. And if they lose the election, many go on to do none of those things. The rank of office is not what makes someone a leader. Leadership is the choice to serve others with or without any formal rank. There are people with authority who are not leaders, and there are people at the bottom rungs of an organization who most certainly are leaders. It's okay for leaders to enjoy all the perks afforded to them. However, they must be willing to give up those perks when it matters. Leaders are the ones who are willing to look out to the left of them and those to the right of them. They are often willing to sacrifice their own comfort for ours, even when they disagree with us. Trust is not simply a matter of shared opinions. Trust is a biological reaction to the belief that someone has our well-being at heart. Leaders are the ones who are willing to give up something of their own for us. Their time, their energy, their money, maybe even the food off their plate. When it matters, leaders choose to eat last. By the objective standards of leadership, those who aim to raise their own status simply so they can enjoy the perks themselves without fulfilling their responsibilities as leaders are plain and simple weak leaders. Though they may achieve alpha status and rise in the ranks, though they may possess talents and strengths that could earmark them for alpha status, they only become leaders when they accept the responsibility to protect those in their care. If they choose to sacrifice those in their tribe for personal gain, however, they will often struggle to hold on to their position once they've got it. Again, the group is not stupid. The people always have the power. The leaders of organizations who rise to the ranks not because they want it, but because the tribe keeps offering higher status out of gratitude for their willingness to sacrifice are the true leaders worthy of our trust and loyalty. All leaders, even the good ones, can sometimes lose their way and become selfish and power hungry. However, intoxicated by the chemicals, they can choose sometimes to forget their responsibility as a leader is to their people. Sometimes these leaders are able to regain their footing, but if they don't, we have little choice but to look past them, lament at what they have become, wait for them to move on, and look to someone else to lead us. Let me just read that again. Sometimes these leaders are able to regain their footing, but if they don't, we have little choice but to look past them, lament what they have become, wait for them to move on, and look to someone else to lead us. I sincerely believe from the bottom of my heart that what we're looking for and what we're really, really struggling with in the world today is lack of leadership. And don't get me wrong, it's not just leadership in Nigeria, leadership everywhere, in lots of places. This year has shown that we have a lack of leadership. And as he said in the book, there is a lot of alphas, and alphas are leaders of the pack. People naturally look to alphas to be leaders, but it is possible to be an alpha and not be a leader. There are a lot of things that I could just talk about here, but I'll just read something else. Leaders are the ones who are willing to give up something of their own for us. Their time, their energy, their money, maybe even the food off their plate. When it matters, leaders choose to eat last. Leadership is responsibility. Leaders choose to eat last. Leaders sacrifice. Every form of leadership requires some sort of sacrifice. Self-leadership requires sacrifice. When you say, okay, I want to do something and I'm leading myself, it might mean I might have to sacrifice sleep. It might mean I have to sacrifice something. Leadership always requires sacrifice. Leadership is responsibility. As we move on to a new era, as we begin to think of how we move forward, not just in Nigeria, but in the world generally, what are we beginning to look for in our leaders? If you're an aspiring leader, what are those things that you think leadership is? Do you think it's about the authority you're going to get? Do you think it's about the power you're going to get? Or the fact that you're going to serve people? And even if you think, I personally believe that we're all leaders in our own way, every single way. I'm a leader. I'm not going to do false humility and say here, there are things that I lead. I lead myself, I lead my children, I'm a leader in my home. And there are various other places where I'm a leader. So we are all leaders, one way or the other. How are you taking on that responsibility of leadership? How are you taking on that mantle of leadership? How are you looking at it to see how you can actually sacrifice some of yourself to help those people that you're leading, to help those causes that you're leading? This is the time for us to think and re-strategize. This is the time for us to think about how we show up in the world. This is time for us to think about what leaders we want to be. This is the time for us to think about what leaders we want to have. This is the time for us to think about the qualities that we want to look for in our leaders. And I hope that we're able to get people who are visionary leaders, who understand that it's not about the perks that is attached to leadership, but about the responsibility to those people that they're called to lead. As I said, the book is called Leaders Eat Last. It's a really good book by Simon Sinek. I'm sure you've heard of Simon Sinek and you would probably really like, if you've read Start With Why, this one is also as good as Start With Why, and it's called Leaders Eat Last. So that's my book recommendation for today. I hope you enjoyed, and as I said at the beginning of this video, do take time out. There are a couple of people on my timeline, some of the people that I just think, just take time out to rest a bit this weekend, unplug, laugh, joke, do something that makes you happy, because this 2020 has given us a lot of heavy moments, but we can't allow those heavy moments drag us down. Thank you very much for watching my video. I'm not my usual chirpy self, but I hope I've been able to convince you, or I've been able to allow you to think deeply about the concept of leadership. Have a lovely, lovely week. Thank you. Bye-bye.